So what is diabetes? That's what we're talking about on tonight's show. This is Dr. Dwayne Wood, and you are here. You've caught me. We are at the beginning, actually, day number 2 of our Diabetes Awareness Month. This is the month that we highlight diabetes, that we spend some time educating, and I say we, me, here on the channel. Around the world, we are doing the same thing. Around the country, I guess I should say. There are almost 500 million people around the world that have diabetes, 37 million in the United States alone. And on our last show, we talked about the cost of diabetes. And tonight, we're going to talk about what diabetes actually is. So if you're here, we welcome you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. Thank you for coming and spending a few moments with us as we talk about this very important subject. So diabetes is a problem that we have. Diabetes is an issue that continues to grow, and pretty soon they are telling me, if we believe the statistics, that about 30% of most people in the country will be diabetic. In fact, if we correlate that with weight, by 2050, I think is what the numbers are saying, that we will have a massive influx, a massive prevalence, if you will, of people that are overweight, people who are suffering from diabetes, pre-diabetes, and the complications that go along with it. Now, so diabetes, what is diabetes? That's what I'm going to spend some time going over today. And, you know, it's an interesting question. And it's an interesting question because right now there are probably some people that are arguing about what diabetes is. So let me go ahead and let me pop a screen up there for you so you can see. So this is the definition. This is the definition that we are going to be working with, and we'll have some comments about it, right? So diabetes, a chronic disease that occurs when the body does not produce enough insulin or does not properly use the insulin that it does produce. This results in high blood sugar, right? So seems like a very simple statement. So diabetes, and let me, I think I might be getting an echo there. There we are, yeah. So diabetes, a chronic disease that occurs when the body does not produce enough insulin or does not properly use the insulin. This results in high blood sugar. Okay. Now, there are several types of diabetes, and so I'm going to talk about those, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about what the issue is that's causing so much controversy. So there are several types of diabetes, and most of you who are watching will probably know some of these, right? So there's type 1 diabetes, which is thought to be due to beta cell destruction. So the pancreas is the organ in the body that produces insulin, specifically in the beta cells. And so in type 1 diabetes, we believe that those beta cells, the cells that are producing the insulin, are actually damaged. And so the body does not produce insulin at all. And that's type 1 diabetes. In type 2 diabetes, the insulin is being produced, but it's ineffective. In other words, it can't do the things that the body needs it to do. And so that's ineffective. Genetic defects can occur where the beta cells, those cells that we just talked about, have some issue that's going on where they're not producing insulin. So these are not destruction, as we talked about in type 1. This is just there's some genetic defect that's going on. Or there could be genetic defects in the insulin action itself, right? The insulin itself can have some defects in it. Other types of diabetes would be drug-induced or chemical-induced. And we see that, believe it or not, in when we're treating patients who have certain illnesses, we put them on medication to treat that illness, but that medication can then predispose or cause problems for a patient, leading them into diabetes. And then down there at the bottom, you'll see gestational diabetes, which develops during pregnancy, right? So that's a list of them. And we're going to come back later as we get into the month to talk about more details about some of those. But let's jump on to, and I'm going to talk specifically here about type 2 diabetes. And the question in type 2 diabetes is, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? That's the question, right? Because in type 2 diabetes, we said that it's ineffective insulin. In other words, the insulin is there, it's on board, the body's producing the insulin, but it's not effective. And if you go back to, and let me quickly jump back to our definition. If you go back to our definition there, you'll see that the definition says that it is a chronic disease. We're going to skip over that for a minute, where the body does not produce enough insulin, or the insulin is ineffective. And this results in, right, it results in high blood sugar. So the definition seems to suggest, right, that because the insulin is not produced, then that is what causes the high blood sugar. But there can be an argument to be made that it is the high blood sugar that then causes the high insulin, right? So we get into that circle. And so let me pop this off the screen and let's talk about that here for a minute. So what is the issue there? So in type 2 diabetes, the thought is that as patients, due to lifestyle issues, put on weight, their weight goes up, the body has to compensate for the increased weight. And so the blood sugars are rising as a result of the weight going up, and the body has to then produce more insulin to compensate for the higher blood sugars. Notice what happens, right? So the weight goes up, blood sugar goes up, and as a result, the body produces more insulin to try to combat the high blood sugars. And so now we have higher insulin. Well, the higher insulin is there, but the weight keeps going up and the blood sugar goes up. So the body produces more insulin. And then the weight goes up, blood sugar goes up, the body produces more insulin. So you see, we're getting into that cycle, right? One thing leading to another, feeding on another, and so forth. So that's the whole idea behind the chicken and the egg, right? That's what it is. The ultimate question that we have, though, is going to be, how do we treat it? And for the various types of diabetes that we just talked about, the treatment is typically similar, but for different reasons. For instance, type 1 diabetics require insulin because their body does not produce insulin. Type 2 diabetes, they can sometimes be on insulin, even though their body is producing insulin. Right? So same thing, they're both on insulin, but the insulin that we're giving is for a different reason. And so as we get into the month, what we're going to be talking about is the various types of diabetes. We're going to be talking about complications. We're going to be talking about how we treat diabetes. We're going to be talking about some of the medication that's available and out there for diabetes. This is Diabetes Awareness Month. In this month, I help to educate you. I help to support you. My goal is that we together begin spreading the word that diabetes is a devastating disease, but we can have good, long life. First of all, we can prevent diabetes, right? That's a big one. We can prevent it. We can detect it early. We can treat it. And patients who currently have diabetes can live a long life. And we can prevent more and more people from moving into having a disease that is so devastating. That's our goal. That's my goal here as we go through this month. So come on back. If you know someone who has diabetes, someone who is suffering from diabetes right now, someone who's pre-diabetic, and someone who's interested in how they can prevent the progression, let them know what we're doing. If you like this, go ahead and give us a thumbs up. Go ahead and share this, like it, subscribe to the channel Let us know that you're out there. Give us some comments. Tell us your stories. All of that as we go through this month, because it really does help other people. The community that we are building, is with the intention that we educate, that we encourage, that we empower. We want people to take charge of their lives, take charge of their health, avoid complications, and go to the next level. This is Dr. Dwayne Wood, if I didn't introduce myself. Here on this channel, that's what I do. We're glad that you're here. Come on back for our next video. We'll be walking through the month with different ideas, different topics about diabetes. Very short, like you see. This is it, right? We're not going to spend a lot of time, but hopefully as we get through the month, right, you'll be able to put all of the pieces together, and we'll walk through it together. If you've got comments, if you've got questions, go ahead and drop them in the comments. If you're watching this on the replay, go ahead and hit replay, and we will see you at the next video tomorrow night. Good night.